Hey everyone, welcome back. My name is Dr. Tony Chopper, and this is part 2 of the review for the Master Grade Nu Gundam version Gotoki. In this part, we're going to go over all of the different limbs and also the body of this guy, both inner frame and armored up. So, let's get started. Now, one quick tip before we get started. I'm going to go and urge everyone to go out and buy a pair of tweezers. These will be the saving grace while you're making this kit. If you do plan to put on all of these foil stickers, you're going to need something to apply them properly, or at least a little bit more accurately than using your fingers, because our fingers are quite big. Now, another little technique I've figured out is when putting the foil stickers onto some of these cycle frame parts, it's actually easier to put it on while it's still on the runner. That way, for those of you who don't have the most stable of hands and are a little bit shaky, you won't have to deal with fumbling with a small piece and putting it on. That way you can actually put it on while it's securely stuck there. And one thing I've noticed is a lot of the time when you're cutting these things out is that the gate marks are on the side of the piece, which when you put into the inner frame, none of it actually ever shows. So it's actually a pretty good strategy, and you should try it out. Starting off, we have the inner frame of the leg. Now this leg is quite massive, and it has a whole bunch of different details on it. That's why I wanted to showcase it just by itself, and not like how we usually do it on the side panel. Now, we have all these cycle frame parts that come through with that nice shiny foil sticker underneath, and it actually shows really well in light. If you ever actually put it in a sunny or shiny place, you'll be able to see all of these light up a little bit more. Now, the articulation on this is relatively good, and all this is not ABS plastic, it's all polystyrene. We have a joint right here that gives us the double movement here. This piston, I found that it comes off a little bit easily, like that, if you just leave it in the form like this, but if you put on the armor, it does get a little bit better. We have this panel right over here. This is mainly for our transformation, so it's a little bit different. Now we have these nice yellow accents in the front, and we have this thruster thing back here. Now there's one down here, and there's also one smaller one up here, so you can move those around. We have a moving part over here. This is mainly for the transformation, and I've noticed already that some of the plastic is a little bit thin right around here. As you can see, it's a very thin piece, and while I was applying it, putting it on, it did have a giant stress mark on it, so you might want to be careful when putting something like that on. Now the ankle is actually one of the more unique ones I've actually seen, because it's not actually pegged in to the leg like this, or the ankle like that. The ball joint we have here, this ball system, is actually on a peg up here and one here. This is nice and smooth and matches the shape of the ball here, and makes for a very smooth and cool movement. So I wonder how this is going to work with stress of the kit, because it is quite a big kit. Now you can go all the way back like that if you want to point the toes, and go forward like that. Also, we have a little bit of toe articulation right here, and it can swivel back and forth like that. Continuing with the armored up version of the leg, we have right here, first thing you see is a whole bunch of color separation. Now, parts like here in the navy blue, it's actually separated with this sticker here. I'm not really a big fan, but like I said, you need pliers or tweezers on this guy if you want to actually do it well. We have stickers here, and it translates on the same side over here. Also, this gray piece that's really up close to this piece is also a sticker. So we have one here and one here. And also on the bottom, they decided to have to change up the color of the feet and not make it all one solid color. So this part right here is also a sticker that you have to put on. And honestly, throughout the kit, it kind of gets a little bit annoying, but oh well. The articulation up here for the ball joint doesn't really change. It's on a peg up there. This still bends the full about 120 to 130, 40 maybe degrees. The piston still looks really nice, and we see that nice movement right there. This part over here still opens up like so. Nothing really changes there. And for the bottom of the leg, we still get the same amount of articulation. It still goes like that, comes forward like so, and you can still point his toes quite a bit. Now, another cool thing about the leg with the armor here is that the spikes for the asteroid thing actually come out. So all you gotta do is pull this one down, and the one on the back is relatively easy as well. All you gotta do is pull up a little bit, and wham. Now, one thing I didn't really like here is that this is actually kind of hollow. You see these different segments. Now, the front piece has to be solid the whole way through, and I understand that, but it's kind of a shame that they didn't go the extra mile for this piece here. Now, there's also another set of spikes that you can take out, and all you do is pull that panel down, and voila. Now, these ones don't stay out as well as the other ones, but you can get your Nu Gundam looking like a soccer player, no problem. Also, we have this little thruster here. It's really good how they put the yellow inside there, so it breaks up the color. It looks really, really nice. And this doesn't really move around, so nothing to worry about here. Here is the unarmored up arm. Now, right here, first thing we see is a giant cavity right here. Now, this is where several pieces come inside, and you actually put them in, and you can use them for the transformation as they will pop up. We have great inner frame detail right here, good accent pieces with the yellow, and also this nice psycho frame that shows out as well. That sticker really does make it shine, and with the inner frame only, you can actually see it very well. As for articulation here, we have rotation at the shoulder here. It can go up and down like that. We have a full 180-degree bend, and while we do that, we get to see some pistons actually show through, so that's actually very nice detail-wise. Right here we have another part that actually moves, and this is where a piece of armor gets slapped on and it can move around. Right here we have the hand can go 180, 360 or like that, and it also can go up and down quite a bit as well. Also, it can go like this and pop out. Now, the hands are a little bit special. They're what you would typically find on a perfect grade, a real grade, or well, on the inner frame of one of the master grade RX-78s. I forget which version. Now, it's really, really cool, and if we zoom in a little bit, you guys can actually see how detailed they are. They have segments here that actually move. That moves as well. These are pre-molded, and they're also ABS plastic. Now, each of these moves, and that little part moves as well. You might want to be a little bit careful, though, because if you break this, I'm not quite sure how to fix it. Also, we have a peg right here that sticks out that hopefully will fit into the slot for the weapons and will hold it very well. Now, the shoulder armor looks like this. It's relatively simple, really, really plain if you don't put the armor on it. This part, I put the white parts on it so you guys can see. We have really good color separation. Every single one of these is a different part, so both of the white parts are separated as well. And we get that nice psycho frame as well coming through. We have one moving part, and it's right here. It flaps up and down like that. And if you take your arm, you can plug it in. Now, it's relatively simple, and when you do it, like so, it actually stays pretty well. The armored up version of the arm looks like that. Has a whole bunch of white on it, and also those nice accents show through again. Hands are exactly the same. Articulation here, identical. This part does move around though, as you can see, and it looks really nice. Looks like you're actually defending yourself. This part still moves as well, perfectly fine. Now, there's one really cool bit right here, and that's right here. This pack is the it's the left hand, and this is actually where you store the beam saber. Now, to do this better, I'm just gonna pull it off real quick. As you can see, it pegs in like that. So this part, this is where he puts in his beam saber and he gets to chop people up. This is the normal sized beam saber. Now we have a nice yellow piece up here, good inner frame structure here, and we also get some stickers right here and right here to break up that color. Now it does move if you pull the top part open a little bit, and also when you shove in the beam saber, it can pop out at an angle as well because it's put in on like a hinge right there. And of course, all you have to do is slide it to fold it up. Now, although both of these arms are actually supposed to be asymmetrical, it's really easy to make one arm transform into the other one. Now, I have this piece, the backing of the other arm, and all you have to do is just pop it in. And then after you do that, you just have to switch the hands out and you can do it that way. So although they are different, they also are quite similar as well. The armored up shoulder is relatively the same. Now I didn't put on the logo, or not the logo, the insignia for Amuro right there. I chose not to. I'm going to do that a little bit later because I do plan to paint this kit and I don't want to get new decals for him. Now we have some light gray up here breaking up the color, and also some gray here and here. Now you don't have to worry because these aren't stickers, so this gray part that's coming out right here, the darker gray, is actually a piece. Now we get to see some really good detailing up in here. I hope you guys can see that. Now this part right here shines through, nothing changes with the articulation, and this part stays the same as well, except mine is a little bit loose. Alright, now here is the skirt armor. Now I didn't put on this side because it looks the exact same right here. You can really just go to town on this and make it look really, really nice. We have some really good detail all over this guy. Looks really, really cool. And we have a lot of parts on this that the inner frame actually shows through. So there's a whole bunch of holes on some of these panel and armor pieces that makes it really nice when it bleeds through like that. It looks really cool. Same with parts like these. This part actually kind of gave me a bit of trouble. These are really, really small, and they're kind of hard to put in, but you'll get used to it eventually. Same with this yellow piece in the front. It's not a giant yellow piece in the back and then a red part in the front slapped on. It's red and then a very small yellow piece that you put on, so try not to lose that. We have some nice gray up here, and this gray part over here is actually a sticker. This part can actually be removed, and that's mainly for the transformation. But overall, there's a lot of good detail on this guy. Now, in terms of articulation, though, we have a little bit of movement forward and back like that. It's on a ball joint, of course, so we get that right there, and it can also move all the way up like that. On the side, this one's a little bit more flimsy, so you have to be a little bit more careful. It can go and move around like so. But this is by design supposed to stay on the inside of the back skirt armor. So yeah, try not to move around too much, otherwise something's going to fall off. Now the back here doesn't actually move up too much, and if you move it a little bit too much, it's going to, you know, hit that and then come off the ball joint. You can go back a little bit as well, and if you really want to, it can go up that much, but I don't know why you'd want to do that. Also, we have another moving part on this guy, and that's the joints right here. As you can see, they are in two different areas, and that's because Bandai's finally made it a little bit easier to make it have real human motion, and it's going to move like this. So when you put on the leg, it's going to be able to swing back and forth like that without actually having to use or put too much stress on the poly cap, which is very, very good. Also, one final last thing. On the back here, if anyone actually has built a Masquerade Sanaju, you're going to see something very similar on that kit as well. And this part doesn't actually move out, and you don't actually get an extra storage space to put anything. But if they did, this would be the most interesting skirt armor they've probably ever made. So I'm kind of glad they didn't go and do that, because this thing's already very, very complicated. And here is the iconic chest for the Nu Gundam. Now I didn't put on all the armor on him, but I put half of it with armor, half without, so you guys can see the comparison. The inner frame portion of it is really highly detailed, so if you want to go to town on this inner frame and just display it like this, half-half, it'll look amazing. We have this clear piping up here, so that when you put the LED unit, if you do have an LED unit, if you put it in there, it'll be able to light through this clear part and up into the head, so the eyes will actually light up. This is asymmetrical again, so this side has the sensor here, and this side doesn't. Now, one thing we see here, this is a yellow part, and doesn't have any extra vents or anything like we've seen on a whole bunch of other kits. The articulation for this guy, now this can move out quite a bit. It's on a very funny system here. Now it's not actually pegged in 100% to the chest. We have this mechanism right here and this hollow point. It's relatively strange, and it's the first time I've actually seen this on a model kit, at least from Bandai. So that's kind of cool. But in doing so, we get to see these whole parts that aren't covered up at all, and they look kind of strange because, yeah, if I can imagine if you move the arm out a little too much and you see this thing sticking out, it's going to look a little funny. Now, the cockpit hatch here, it can move up a little bit, and also this red part can go up and down. There's a little bit of a notch here, and you can slide that part down. Now, if you go inside a little bit more, you can actually pull it out a little bit and then make it go up. We see armour. Now, when I was building this, that part over there is actually incredibly fragile. And in doing so, I think I damaged it a bit, so it always comes off now, and it's a little bit wiggly, so it kind of sucks. So when you're making this, make sure you don't damage that part where the computer is or whatever. And this can just slide back in and make it look flush. Now, the articulation is very limited. I'm trying to move it side to side, but I can't really. But we do have this panel in the back, which is of this gray color. All you have to do is pull it up, and then in doing so, you get a little bit of movement, a little bit of wiggle room. And it's also mainly for the transformation, which I'm going to be covering in a different part. Over here, we have this part that moves. It moves that way and that way, so it's really nice. It's on that like ball joint system. And this part actually moves a little bit more. So if you want to do Superman, I'm looking at you flying pose, it will be able to have its head sticking up, which is a very good bonus. Now, to change things up a little bit, here is what it looks like with the white piece armor here. Now, we have the option to put this on. Of course, you get it for both sides. And this is what it looks like in the CGI short. It looks a little bit funny in my opinion, so I'll rather stick to just the original with the blue down here. But it's at least nice that they gave us this option. And the back of this guy, it's just another piece and panel that covers it up. For the last piece, we have the head of the Nu Gundam. Now, this guy is, the construction of the head was rather unique in my opinion, or at least innovative. The nummark placements and where the injection points are near the base of the fin, so there's no more breaking of the fin near the pointy parts. So they were allowed to kind of make it a little bit more pointy. Now usually you have these points right here that are like kind of like safeguarded off or whatever, just so you won't break it or crack it. But they didn't do it for this one, so that's cool. And everything up here, the two parts for the yellow and the navy blue here, they're all, the nummarks are in really nice places. We have a see-through green part up there in the camera, and those foil eyes. Down here we see that the grill mark is, it actually bleeds through from the bottom, and the bottom part is a red part. So if your grills are red, you probably want to go underneath there and put some paint or Sharpie or whatever you want to do to make it so that it's black. Also, the construction of the front part of the faceplate was a T part like that. So when you're snipping it off, just be careful not to take off too much, otherwise you're going to screw up a little bit of these vents near the sides. Speaking of vents, the vents over here in the gray, they actually all show through, and it's really, really nice. I don't know if you guys can see it on the camera or not, but yeah, there's like little different things on here to make it look very, very detailed. Now, the Vulcans, the innards of the Vulcans are actually a separate piece that should come through that way. So, I don't know, if you want to paint it up a different color, it would be pretty easy to do because it's really separated. Now, we have a big part up here that just slaps on top, and another camera piece in the back. We have some movement back here, goes up and down a little bit. And also, something I found a little strange is this little nook right here. It's on both sides, and you can see that seam line that comes down, and it just kind of gets accentuated by this part. So, you might want to go and fill that in. If you're lazy though, oh well. And also, it's on a ball joint, of course, so it moves all over the place. Alright guys, that concludes part 2 of the review. Now, I hope you guys liked it, and please continue to support the channel in the future. There's more stuff coming out all the time, and also part 3 will be coming out soon, where we will be going over all the different weapons and the accessories, technically the backpack is an accessory, of the Nu Gundam. My name is Dr. Tony Chopper, and I will see you guys next time. Peace out.